Hello, everybody. It's Hygar Hellfist again with another Call of Duty's Zombies. Today is not going to be a game day. Today we're just going to be going over the Space Marines Tracer Pack. And from the view of a Warhammer 40k fan. I absolutely adore Warhammer 40k. It's one of my favorite game settings. Um, just I love pretty much everything about it. Um, I'm your typical fan, though. I prefer the Space Marines over, say, like the Eldar or the Orcs or whatever. But you know, I love all of them. You know, it for me, it's it has so many different factions that you can play as. It has a little bit of everything for everybody, and I absolutely enjoy that. So let me kind of go over the Tracer Pack with you from the Warhammer 40k side of things. You've probably already seen it yourself or have seen a video of people just going over everything really quickly or whatnot to describe it. I'm going to try to go in a little bit more detail. So first of all, the Warhammer 40k setting is basically it's grimdark. Uh, it's focused on the Imperium, but they do have like books and various stuff that focus on other factions. But the main faction that have like the most models and books and stuff is the Imperium. So basically, the Imperium it's the setting is set like 40,000 years in the future, 40 millennia in the future, um, and they have a being called the Emperor who you know is over everything, but unfortunately at this current time he's kind of almost a withered mummy. He's still alive, but he's doesn't get up from what's called the Golden Throne, and do things anymore. He's been that way for about 10,000 years. Um, and you have lords of Terra that kind of run the day to day. Well, not the day to day, but the general running of the Imperium. And within the Imperium, you have a faction called the Space Marines. They are genetically modified uh, men who are kind of taken as boys who then are trained, and then as their training goes along, they are given um, various genetic uh, changes and organs and things to make them to be just like 7 to 8 foot tall. They're super buff um, warriors, and that's kind of the premier uh, military force in the Imperium, and that's what this Tracer Pack is based off of, is those Space Marines. Um, a really good, if you want to kind of learn the lore of the Imperium and do it in kind of a funny way, in a very quick way, is they have a YouTube video called "The Lore of the of Warhammer 40k in about a minute." It is super hilarious. I don't think that's exactly the name of it, but put that in YouTube and you should get what I'm talking about. It's super hilarious. It's super cool, and it'll kind of go over everything, especially the Space Marines, um, to kind of give you that background. So the first skins that they introduce are for Scorch. Um, you have the Ultramarines, which is one chapter of Space Marines, led by a Primarch called Robute Gilliman, who is like a master tactician, master. He's well versed in the military arts and things like that, but he's also a good like administrator. He can just go through everything really fast. And what a Primarch is the Emperor built literally built these even more genetically badasses called Primarchs to run the Space Marine Legions at the time. And they're where a Space Marine is head and shoulders above, a regular human being. Primarchs are even higher than that. They're just amazingly awesome. And the Ultramarines chapter is headed by Rabute Gilliman, their Primarch, and they're kind of based on, I would say, the Roman. They have a lot of Roman iconography and Roman stylings. You have I think that's the Omega symbol, or at least the upside down. And that's their chapter icon. And what you have here is an Ultramarine Scout, is what the skin is. And the Scouts are basically their rookies. Now, for the most part, a lot of them will fight in wars, basically going from war to war for about 10 years before they're elevated to a full Space Marine. And what they are is basically they're the Scouts. They do a lot of scouting, sniping, generally not just full-on assaults. They're not the assault people. They get the information, and various things like that. They have much lighter armor. It's called scout armor, quite obviously. And they are, like I said, the rookies. You go as basically an aspirant, which is your basic kind of training. And then once you pass that, then you start getting your genetic modifications to make you into a full Space Marine. And that's where the Scouts come in, is they're going through that process of becoming a Space Marine, and during that they're also fighting. They on the job training, basically. And yeah, so this is the Ultramarine Scout. And the other one is the Blood Angel Scout. So where I said the Ultramarines, their Primarch was Rabute Gilliman, for the Blood Angels, their Primarch is called Sanguinius, who was basically an angel. Like, he didn't come down from a heaven or anything like that. He was another Primarch that was built by the Emperor. But he had, like, angelic wings. He was angelically beautiful. All these various things. He just looked like an angel. I think that's pretty much his nickname, was the Angel, or something like that. I don't know these chapters as well as I know my favorite chapter, so I'm kind of going off hazy memory here. Excuse me. And the Blood Angels, they're kind of the same way as the Ultramarines. They I believe they follow the Codex Astartes for the most part, which was written by Rabute Gilliman, as kind of the textbook for what it is to be a Space Marine and how to operate Space Marine chapters. I believe they follow that, but not completely. But one of their biggest kind of differences is, for lack of a better term, they kind of they have the aesthetic of like vampires, right? They're classically beautiful, generally speaking, all that stuff, but they have kind of a lust for blood, and it can be seen in some genetic differences where they have called, I think it's the Black Rage, which they'll basically psycho out and just start drinking blood from those that have blood. So they have their own kind of thing, and their main color is red. But they generally operate kind of the same way as the Ultramarines. They have 10th Company, where you have the Scouts, who are the new people, and they do their training and go to war and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of the differences between the Blood Angels and the Ultramarines. These are kind of the Roman uh, style, and these are kind of vampire styled. They don't get any sustenance from blood or anything like that. It's just they have a, they sometimes tend to go into rages where they do drink blood. Now, once you've done your training and, about 10 years, it can be more, it can be less, depending on how good you are and whatnot, um, you get elevated in up to an actual Space Marine, where you get the full armor. And that's, while this is a lieutenant of a Space Marine, they generally look like this. Maybe not as ostentatious, um, not as much gold. You don't have the iron halo usually and things like that. Um, but this is kind of the general look of the armor that they get. Now, these armors for both the Ultramarines and this, the Blood Angels are your Juggernaut kill streaks skins. Whereas before you just drop in with like a bunch of armor, with this one you'll drop in looking like a full-on heavily armored Space Marine with a riot shield. Um, I love the full Space Marines. They're great. Um, they have their Space Marines in general. I don't think really have a. Sorry for the noise. Had a lawnmower driving by. Um, I don't know if they're technically immortal, but they are very, very long lived. You have some Space Marines that are like 1,000 years old. Um, Although generally those are like chapter masters, the head of the chapters. Um, but you have very long lived ones who aren't chapter masters. They've just been around for a very long time. Um, and through all that, they basically just go from battle to battle, uh, war campaign to war campaign. Occasionally, they'll return home to get reinforcements and do all that stuff, but they are pretty much almost constantly fighting. So they have centuries, sometimes at least decades, but many cases centuries of combat experience. And this is what they look like. I kind of wish we could. I don't believe you can do kill streak skins in zombies, because since that's the only game mode that I play. But I don't know. Maybe I might do a multiplayer game just to try out this when I can finally afford it, to get this skin and try it out, see what it looks like. You have Ultramar's Vengeance, which is a lieutenant of the Ultramarines, and then Baal's Wrath is the Blood Angels version, which is a Blade Guard veteran. Like I said, they kind of have the same structure, but some things are different. The Blood Angels, instead of having lieutenants, they're Blade Guard veterans. They're very experienced and have fought so many campaigns at this point that they just have all they're called veterans is the big thing. So next is the first weapon blueprint, which it's the same for both. It's for the Sidewinder. Um, it's decorated with kind of the skull and wing kind of motif that a lot of weapons in the universe for the Imperium are decorated with. They very over this millennia. They've kind of got away from like enlightenment and progress and doing things and making new things, and they've kind of gone backwards technologically and spiritually. Um, the Emperor, when he was alive and leading the Imperium, personally, he he basically tried to get rid of religions because he thought they, uh, or he fully believed that they bring uh, societies down and whatnot. Well, basically after his internment and even a little bit before, some of the Imperium kind of said, well, you have all this psychic ability. You're the most powerful psyker, which is basically a magic user. Um, you're you're this great and amazing being. We believe you're a god. And in the 10,000 years since he was interred on the Golden Throne, oh, excuse me again, um, they've they've turned him into a god and now worship him. The Space Marines don't generally do. Uh, they do understand he was immortal. He's not like invulnerable and stuff. He was a living human being. But the general citizens are taught by the ecclesiarchy, the church, that he is the immortal emperor and he is a god. Um, and they've kind of gone regressive, uh, again, eschewing what the emperor taught, which was no religion, and now they're heavily religious and worshiping the emperor as their god. Um, so a part of that is they have a lot of their aesthetic is, um, like I said, grimdark, a lot of skulls, a lot of death, things like that. So you'll see a lot of, if we go back to the Baal's Wrath skin, you'll see they have skulls on the shield and on the, the on the plate and stuff like that, because like I said, it's part of their kind of theme now. Now this weapon comes with tracers and death effects. We'll go ahead and enlarge that. I can't really see what the tracers really are. I'm guessing they're supposed to be showing what like a bolter would fire. And what a bolter is, it's the main weapon of a Space Marine. It's like a carbine that fires rocket propelled, basically 40 millimeter grenades. I don't remember the actual caliber, but they're grenades that when they enter a body or they enter, and hit something, they explode. So they're meant to do a lot of damage, which is why you can see the death effect. The body explodes rather than just falls down. I can't really see what the traces are. I'm guessing if you fire at a longer distance, you'll see the kind of the rocket propelled side of it, and can see, that's what it looks like. And I very much like that, especially that death effect. So, yeah, very very cool. I guess the Sidewinder is a good weapon that they could have used that with in a battle rifle. Kind of higher caliber than an assault rifle, whatnot. So, not too bad. Then the next weapon, obviously, is the Blood Angels version of it. Whereas this has the Ultramarines insignia on the back. This has the Blood Angels insignia on the back. The blood drop with wings. But you get the same stuff. The next weapon they have a skin for, or a blueprint for, is for the Soul Render. And these are called chain swords. It's another kind of staple weapon for the average Space Marine. And it is literally what it sounds like. It's a sword that's a chainsaw. So, yeah, I don't remember exactly how it's powered. Like, I want to say, like, it's powered by basically gas-powered, what they call promethium. But I don't absolutely know that for sure. Because it's not really hinted at. Like, they don't really talk about it that much in, like, the novels and stuff. They don't tell about how they refuel their swords. They just kind of work. But they're basically chainsaw swords. And it is very devastating, especially against unarmored opponents. And we can look at the death effect when you hit somebody with it. It just chaws them in half or saws them in half, and you get that dismemberment where they kind of explode. So very, very nasty weapon. Um, and then of course you have the riot shield, gets that skin that the kill streak armors get. I'm guessing you can just um, have this on just a regular riot shield. Uh, if it were powered uh, with a what's called a force field, it would be called a storm shield. Um, and yeah, looks very cool. I like it. Uh, I can't wait to where I can finally afford and get this pack, because definitely everything is going to be set to Warhammer 40k skins. Uh, so yeah, the next thing is we have a blueprint for the Haymaker, which I'm guessing this is kind of your very much more bolter-esque weapon, because a bolt, the rounds fired by a bolter are more sizable, like a shotgun shell. Although I think they're even larger than that. Um, but this is kind of what they look like. They don't have a stock, because Space Marines are so strong and they're augmented by their armor, which is powered. Hence the name Power Armor. They're powered by a nuclear reactor on their back, so they're able to hold these and shoot these massive, very powerful weapons without having to brace them against the shoulder. So this is kind of what a bolter would look like, to be honest with you. As close as we're going to get with the current weapons that we have without actually making a brand new weapon. And I didn't see them making a bolter. That would be too powerful. So they used the Haymaker, and it looks very, very well done. Again, I can't wait to use this at some point. Then you have the finishing move that they introduced. Unfortunately, I wish they would show the finishing moves so that you can see what they look like. But it's basically you use a chainsword to kill your opponent, and yeah, I would definitely use that one as my finishing move for every thing that I play. And then the last two things is you have some weapon charms, which is the Ultramarines with their chapter insignia, and the Blood Angels with their chapter insignia, with the Aquila on top of the chapter insignia. The Aquila is basically the Emperor's symbol for his Imperium, the double-headed eagle. So, well, I probably won't have this charm. Probably won't use the charm, because unfortunately they didn't use my favorite chapter, which is the Space Wolves chapter. Again, I've talked about this previously. They're basically space Vikings. That's my favorite chapter. They didn't use them. They just went with kind of the two most, I guess, popular and well-known Space Marine chapters. So, very, very, very cool. Tracer pack, 3,000 COD points. Little bit too rich for my blood for right now. Like I said, that's basically $30. In my opinion, for a Warhammer 40k fan, definitely worth it. Even though I won't be able to get to use these skins, but the weapon skins I would definitely use. The weapon blueprints rather, and whatnot. The finishing move I'll definitely use. I don't know if I'll use the skins themselves. I kind of like my cat girl skin, but I'll probably use this for a little bit, or at least have one of my other zombies operators as this. And I'll probably try to use them, every now and then to to play. So that is all the Space Marine Scout or the Space Marine Tracer Pack. Uh, I really want to go more into the lore and the things that I know about Warhammer 40k, because like I said, I absolutely love Warhammer 40k. So I'm so excited for this. I'm excited for the other packs that are coming out. I'm not a big Sister Battle fan because I'm not kind of a big fan of the religious side. Sisters of Battle are kind of like the elite militia or military arm of the ecclesiarchy. But they're basically, whereas the Space Marines are all male, the Sisters of Battle are all female. Uh-oh. Can you hear? Can you see her? Okay. It broke on me. Now. Alright, well, apparently it's doing an update, so we'll go ahead and leave that here. And hopefully I'll try to talk more about it later. Because I'm looking forward to the event. Seeing what kind of stickers and emblems and things that they give us for that. Hopefully it's a little bit more, or will definitely be a little bit more. And hopefully the weapon skins at the end will be awesome. And thank you so much for joining me. If you've listened to me rant this long, I appreciate it. Go ahead, hit that like if you wish. If not, you have a great day. I'll come back at a later point with an actual gameplay video, and I'll show you the Warhammer 40k event. Y'all take it easy. Love ya. Bye.